Good morning, guys. Pete Dahlgren here. Anyway, as I said on a lot of these, I'll be doing a lot of live videos from here on out because there's a lot of things that, especially when you do this particular method of glassing, as I do, you want to really be making sure that you guys are doing this in the right sequence. Otherwise, it's going to it will fisheye like crazy on you if you're not careful. Now, one thing I am doing is I'm just running my hand over all this area. And what I'm doing right here is looking for any real high and low spots. And I do have some. And right here is, I got a whopper going on right here. But I'm not worried about that at this point. And this is a big area. This is the front half of the fuselage. This is the bottom. And I'm not worried that I got some a little bit higher because what happens is, and I want to show you guys this. The bottom of the airplane, I don't want to overstand it. And I did add some filler under here, and as you can see, it soaks it in real nice. The stuff's it's like a rock. And I used quite a bit of resin on this when I did it, but I got some other filling that's going to have to do this, and I'll do this afterwards. And it won't be nearly as bad as you think, but the really bad areas, and they weren't really all that bad. As a matter of fact, you can see through this. And I'm using a Bondo finishing putty, just spot putty. Now, I'm going to show you this now because this is how I do all the edges. I actually glass them. This stuff is a very easy stuff to sand off. I use epoxy exclusively, and it's because I don't ever have any of the major deals going on. Now, what I'm going to do here on this second coat here, guys, is I'm working on filling this weed in. And if there's any little spots and real hard edges, I will simply cover them out after I primer it, and I will add a little bit more of this on top just to get it straight. But I'm not really, what I'm showing you here is, this is one of the reasons why I said when you're doing your sheeting and stuff like that, don't worry so much about if you got ICA these when I make these sheets in this part, or I will use the Gorilla Glue as I've showed a lot of you and in the previous videos. Now, my main thing is here is just going down and feeling it and seeing if there's any real high or low spots in here that need to be done. And I did find a couple of spots. Now, what I'm doing here, if it floated a little bit, it's still a little bit tacky. And the reason I use the alcohol method is because it does penetrate this wood. I mean, guys, this stuff, you couldn't budget within any of the frames. It's like a rock. It's just it acts like a piece of steel. And once you get all these parts done, and if there's any kind of, if there's any type of gap or anything like that, you're actually filling it, and it's actually absorbing that so thin because it's like the consistency of water. It's not, but it is very, very thin. And the one thing I want to make sure that you guys understand, you want a little bit of spoilage on all your areas. You know, this looks kind of rough, but it's really not. And this is really going to give me something to sand. And if you do see like a booger right here, you can lightly sand it. I'm not going to do that. I don't want to be sanding glass, okay? And this is 1 ounce, and I'm going to show you guys right here, right now, exactly what I'm doing. And I started my second amount of the stuff. So, and there is a little bit, and I'll just put that in a cup so that I can get it to go because I don't like wasting material. Because believe it or not, guys, once that all comes in there, that's enough. It does not take a lot of material. Now, I do this, I mix that in equal parts as close as I can get it. And with this, I like it to take a while to cure. And as you can see, I got spoilage everywhere. I do glass the edges, and I do the bottoms first, even though I did do the top of the thing, and I still got the sides to do. The one thing that I am doing right now is I'm going to get a second coat on here, and then I will actually put a pipe through a piece of plastic ABS pipe like that stuff up there, and I'll actually put a pipe all the way through it. And then I'm going to go down to Harbor Freight and get another tray down here, and then we'll use it. And that's how we'll primer this thing. We'll do the masking and everything else. All the extra spoilage that I got for resins and stuff, I don't waste it. What I do with it is I take it and I coat all the engine bay compartment areas with it, just to give it so it doesn't soak up any gas or anything like that. If you spill anything in there, it's going to field proof that. And it just gives us a lot more rigidity. You can't flex this anywhere. But in case my landing gear doesn't come down or something like that, and I got to do belly landing, I don't want it to tear the crap out of this. So I like using this method for that reason. And it just, to me, I've never had any issues with it. And all the RC boats I used to do and all that stuff, we've done a lot of that kind of stuff with it. And it proved to really add a tremendous amount of rigidity to the wood that we use on that, whether it be plywood or balsa and things like that. Guys, it don't go. And again, with this cloth, all these little, if you don't use the cloth on here, what will happen is eventually this will dry out and you'll start splitting. And what this cloth actually does do is it actually absorbs itself into this wood, and it keeps these grains very tight. And considering the fact that balsa is a hardwood and things like that. And I also want to talk to you guys about the grade of the wood you're using. Hard balsa it can be kind of tricky to get, but it does conform well. And it's actually it's just, not only does it adhere well, and it's a lot tougher. It's a little bit harder to sand than the softer balsa is. Softer balsa is a lot lighter in color, and it doesn't have all these grains like that. One of the deals is I'm going to go ahead and see if I can set this up for you guys somewhere so that you can kind of see what I'm going on. And use this little heater, maybe that'll work. Okay, here we go. Now, I think one of the biggest things with all of this, as with everything that you do, I go down and I use, one thing I do use, guys, I go through a lot of these cuts, and I buy 36 of them. And it just really does, they don't get affected by they're just not affected by excuse yourself. Okay, this one's done. And I think one of the big things is it's been really, it has not been very warm here. So this stuff has taken quite some time to actually cure out. Guys, this does, and I've had guys ask, this does not work for laminating a lot of big stuff. It just doesn't have what it takes to be very strong. And again, guys, this hardener will float on the and I'm showing you guys the mixing of this. So one thing I want you guys to realize, it does need to settle down for a minute. You need to look at it and make sure. And again, I can't emphasize it enough. You want to make sure you favor your resin. If you're going to favor anything, don't put more hardener in your resin than you would. Just don't put more. Always use more resin, and it will float for. And that's what I want to bring to some of your attention here is that on the bottom of the cup, you have a small indentation on there. And if you look, it comes up about halfway through the bottom of this. So these cups are good for this. So you can go precise if you want to. I prefer measurement just about like that, if you can see that, and then we'll match it up with alcohol. And you want to, any brand of denatured alcohol will work. You just want to eyeball this. And basically that's it. Pour it in. And again, you're going to notice that it's going to get really, really, really super cloudy. What this is doing when it does that is it's pulling all the water out of it. Don't worry about the color hard. A lot of guys have asked me about that, and they have asked me a bazillion questions on it. If your hardener is a dark brown, it's got a little bit of water, doesn't hurt it. Doesn't mean it's bad. But what we're looking for here, guys, is a nice pretty amber color. You want to stir it. Stir it thoroughly. And believe it or not, that's what it should be looking like right there. Now, you got plenty, you got a lot of working time here. This stuff will still be kind of tacky tomorrow morning. And it's like I said, as a rule, it's very, very, very important to know that the slower an epoxy actually cures, the better it is. And it's a lot stronger. And again, we're gonna just go like this. And you're gonna see it actually, you're gonna see it absorb even more. And you can see I'm just kind of dropping it on. and you'll notice it. And you just want to work it. Work it in. And you'll see a lot of air bubbles popping to the surface on it. And yes, I do all of the edges on this, and I don't worry too much about I don't worry about too much, and you can actually get in and actually do a little bit of a laminating with this if you want some extra edges to be extremely strong on these. You can actually laminate them. I never do, but I've seen guys do it on connection points and stuff like that where things actually do get a little crazy. Now on my spoilage, I'm actually trying to get that wet. All the extra spoilage that you see on the ends of the wings. This stuff will run like hell on you, so you want to work with it and just make sure that you're now, a lot of guys would tell you not to put as many coats on this as I do, but the one thing is I want everybody to understand is that I'm not adding a hell of a lot of weight here. The actual weight on this, believe it or not, if you do it, and once I want enough to sand off. When I wet sand this down, that's basically what I'm telling you. I want and you can see any dry spots that are on this if you know what you're looking for. And basically all I'm doing right here, guys, I'm just calling bleed up. And I'll show you what it looks like when you're done here. I'm gonna have to mix up a little more resin. It's a big airplane, and you're gonna need go through probably, I'm guessing probably 4 of these bottles. They're about $15, guys. It's not that much. $15 each, but you can use West Systems. You can use anything else you want, and blah blah blah. But anyway, I think the one thing is that I want to point out is the Z-Epoxy is the best I've ever used. It's foolproof, and it doesn't fail. I mean, I've never seen it ever fail. As long as you mix it right. This stuff looks like varnish when you're done, and it actually looks, you can't even see the glass once it's done. But you want to make sure that what you want to make sure of, I didn't make enough resin. One thing that I tell you, I'm losing my train of thought here. Trying to concentrate and do this at the same time, which is just the way I do it. You're gonna notice immediately once it's done, I've got some high and low spots on this. And it's a big fuselage, so we're not overly. I'm not too overly concerned about it. Matter of fact, I'm not concerned at all. And this will actually flatten itself out a lot, and it's actually soaking in even more. It's unreal. Stuff's just killer. And you're gonna need 3 coats. Now I'm gonna tell you again that by doing it this way is just, to me, I've used every bit of that, half of that, and I didn't put that much resin in there. And on your 3rd coat, you can sand this in between coats if you want to. I don't, because I don't want to sand the glass itself. If I'm gonna do anything, what I will do here after this is done, I will go in and another deal is too, guys, make sure you're keeping this, babysit this stuff. And this is one of the biggest points about the glassing is you don't want your glass floating. You don't want it to do that. This is filling the weave. And then I'm just coming back and tipping it out. You won't believe how, yeah, it's a little bit more resin. You're not gonna make any, I'll just throw this brush away and grab a new one. These brushes are cheap, Harbor Freight, guys. I could reuse the brush if I wanted to, but I'm not going to because the fact is they're just so cheap. It's not even worth, it's just not worth the, just not worth the hassle a little bit. Just throw it away and grab a new one. It's just not worth the headache of doing it. Stuff's actually kind of cool to watch it kind of absorb. I'll show you guys a couple little things in here in a second. And like I said, it doesn't take long. It takes a long time to cure, but it's no big deal. I'm not using very much resin at all. I mean, it's not, it looks like it's a ton of weight. Stuff is actually very easy to use. Any of you can do this. Anybody can do it. You just gotta take your time. In case you guys are wondering about tools, you don't need a lot of that either. And that's kind of part of it. And in case you guys are wondering on this, this is a very this stuff sands off extremely easy. A lot of guys are asking me, does it really pay to do the edges? And I think it does. It just makes it look nicer. And I would say that just by doing the edge on it, would actually, it does actually, like I said, it'll run, don't worry about it. It's good to go. You'll notice I'm just kind of keeping the strokes as easy because it is what it is. I have a lot of guys have been asking me about the strength of this stuff, and it is. It's definitely a lot stronger than what monocoat would be or anything like that, but neighbor bought a new car. He's been waxing it every day. That thing probably got more weight on it than this whole airplane does by now. Cool dude. And it's like I've said, in a lot of ways, there's just a lot of there are a lot of ways you can do this. Tons. And the reason I'm doing the edges, guys, the main reason for it is because I don't want any denser durability. And I want, when I paint this, I'm gonna make that line disappear where it joins up. And that takes a little bit of, and then what I do is I come back after all this is done with it wet, and I will just come back and tip the whole thing out. A lot of guys don't realize when you tip your edges and stuff like that, you really do want your brush wet. Don't do it with a dry brush. You're just gonna pull material off. You get a grip, no biggie. Now, we're all looking pretty good. Just about. Now, when I primer this, guys, and it will be here in a few days, what we'll do, what I'm looking for is any kind of dry spot. I'm just gonna look it over just for a while. Grab a camera here and I'll show you guys what it looks like. Up close and personal. Oh, it's gorgeous. Love it. Love it. Like it a lot. This goes against my bigger principles, but I did get some running on the side here. Wrong brush and this happens to you, no drama. It's no problem at all. Yeah, it's good. Oh, big major rough drips and errors. And then I'll come back and do the sides. already done the nose, and then I'm doing the tunnels. I'll do both sides of the tunnels, and I'll come back so they'll wrap around. And if there's any extra, that looks good. I love it. So like I said, you're gonna go through a lot of resin and cloth and stuff like that, but the main thing here is to get this. Now what I've done here, let me get this on. Okay, fellas, so anyway, that's what you should be looking like. And as you can see, she's beautiful. There are a couple little spots like right in here. And I've got a little one right in there. And the reason I left it alone and only did some really big filling in the areas beforehand was because I did have some screw ups in it. This here is gonna accept a little bit that filler better. If you use the Bondo fillers that are on there that I use, you're not gonna have a deal. You get a dry spot like this, just make sure you're able to touch it with a brush. Like that. You guys got to see it done live, and this is how it should look. And just thing of beauty. And I'll just tell you, you know, a lot of you guys have built this in a crude environment, you know, as a lot of you guys have seen. And that to prove you don't need a huge gigantic shop to build a dream. Now I leave that much spoilage on there, it'll come off. As you can see, that's tied into the other one. I'll put 3 coats of resin in there too. I'm not worried about any of that. Basically this stuff sands so incredibly fast, it's not even an issue. And to get all these edges and all these things solidified here, this penetrates so hard that it makes all this finish work on the nose and stuff like that. Just makes it so much easier. And you can see the lamination in it, and that's how I do my nose. That's how I did my blocks, guys. You can see all of it in there now, and those edges are very, very strong, very tough. It's all 3/32 scrap. I just used it, laminated it down there, and it's good. And this will dry now or cure out, and we'll come back before and we'll put another coat on. You're going to see like little spots where, ooh, dummy, don't touch it. I was looking through it and see where the other deal is, but not a big. And the reason you know what, the reason I do the filling is because of this. You know, it's but in some areas, especially in here, in this area, I will fill it on top of it after I primer it and see how bad it really is. And the reason I'm doing that is because, like I said, this whole area here is where the airplane joins up. And this is all the strength of this airplane. And that's why I actually sheeted this one from there to here and made sure I had full sheets going all the way down there. And the reason for it is because that's the strongest, one of the strongest parts of the airplane. So all of my sheeting is always done and staggered. And if you've seen how I did all of my videos before, there's places I have done it, there's places I didn't do it. Now this here, this is a strong plane of the airplane, and I've had a couple guys ask me, what about here? Well, guys, this area here is all planked, and there's also the tunnel is completely sheeted. So, and it's sheeted all the way back, and that's your landing gear support and everything else. Plus, I did use some of that cloth in the middle when I laminated all the parts, and that's something I forgot to tell you guys. During the framing process, there's other guys have been putting carbon fiber in there. I've seen some really great videos when it comes down to everything we're doing on these jets. And one of the things I will do is when I come down, I have lights going in here. I also, the door is extremely long on this, but what we're going to do, that door is big. It actually comes, I haven't measured it yet because we're going to take a scale drawing, and what we got to do that, the actual panel line for the reference line is actually on the canopy is where I'm going to start, because this first line comes way the hell over here down, and then I'm going to measure the doors off of a 70-second scale drawing, and I'll actually lay these out with Sharp Pack tape, and then we will mold them. And the reason we're going to do it that way is because I need a fiberglass mold here for this door setup, and back here the landing gear doors are right in here, right by they're right in here, and they're pretty good sized doors, and they only come down to right in there. And so the best way to do them is do that, and then we will make the new the side doors. So I'm going to put all that on here. So along with we got a lot more work to do, but the majority of the work is building into this fuselage and getting the wings. I'm waiting on stuff to show up. So we will be building those wings again and getting them ready to go for everything. We've got a lot of other stuff to do. Main reason for me going ahead and glassing right now is because I don't want this thing to get wet being in the storage shed, and actually I cannot see getting wet and a molded fuselage with the way it's been around here. This way it's protected. I can move it around, do whatever. And in a lot of ways, I'll be taking it up into the house after I get it completely sanded, done, panel lines on it. Then I'll bring a lot of the parts and pieces in. We'll come down. We're going to start doing a lot of the fun stuff, like landing gear doors, this, that, start getting all the panel lines on it and done. It's going to be crazy, and it'll start looking like an F-86 here very shortly. And then we got to reconfigure the mechanism for this piece because I don't like it. It looks okay, but it's just far too much. That front canopy is not what I want. And I'm going to be putting a really nice cockpit in there, and I don't want that thing taken away from an $800 cockpit. So anyway, and just so you guys see and know, wings are good enough to actually, now they're actually good enough to start the wet sanding process, and then we'll get them. And they do, they look great. The tail is over there, and I have not primered it yet, but once we get it, you're going to notice. This is why we're using a high build, and this will almost completely sand off. There's little spots in here, no big deal. I have not primered backs yet. And these we can start getting ready for panel lines and details, and a little bit of fill here and there. And then I primer them twice, and then once I get them, I'll do the panel lines and all the stuff disappears, and it's good. But again, guys, these are like rocks, and they will sand out really nice. I do put a little bit of primer in there just to cover it up. I do seal that edge up, and they're looking good. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Have a great day. I'm gonna go and enjoy my 53rd birthday, because if I make my significant other any more matter than how much she is, I mean, that's she 54. See you in the funny papers.